Good afternoon. Thank you for attending the Johns Hopkins School of Education Mind, Brain, and Teaching virtual webinar. My name is Tyrone Maddox, and I am the admissions coordinator within the School of Education at Johns Hopkins. Presenting today, we have my colleague from the Office of Admissions, Sion.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Sion John, Assistant Director of Admissions here at the Johns Hopkins School of Education. Welcome.
Thank you. And then we also have presenting today Dr. Marielle Hardiman and Dr. Ranji Johnbull. Before we get started, I would like to cover a few housekeeping topics. First, today's webinar is being recorded. We will be able to share a link with you after the event is complete. Also, please take a second to see if your mic is on mute right now. Please have your mic on mute at all times during the presentation. There will be a Q&A session at the end of the presentation as well. Please type your questions in the chat box, and at that time, we will read and answer your questions. Today's agenda includes the following. We will kick off the presentation sharing an overview of the Johns Hopkins School of Education and go over faculty introduction. Lastly, Sion will wrap it up with admissions requirements and leave the floor open for questions at the end. So just to start, some quick facts about Johns Hopkins University School of Education. We are one of 9 schools at the Johns Hopkins University. We actually began offering college courses for teachers in 1909 and then became our very own school in 2007. We do offer more than 30 graduate programs, which include doctoral, master's, and graduate certificate programs. We are proud to share that the Johns Hopkins School of Education is consistently ranked one of the top schools in education by the U.S. News and World Report. For student enrollment, we have approximately 2,437 students, 121 full-time faculty, and a strong network of about 22,000 alumni. Dr. Ranjini Johnbull is the Assistant Professor of Mind, Brain, and Teaching and Doctor of Education programs. She joined faculty in 2014 after a postdoctoral fellowship. She has a PhD from the University of Virginia, and her research focus includes teacher efficacy, cultural competence, social context of belief change, neuroeducation, professional development, and arts integration methods. Next, we have Dr. Marielle Hardiman. She is the professor and co-founder and director of Johns Hopkins Neuroeducation Initiative, also faculty lead for the graduate certificate in mind brain teaching, and she joined JHU faculty in 2006. Research and publication focuses on enhancing educational practices through techniques that foster innovation and creative problem solving. She also presents nationally and internationally on topics related to the intersection of research in the learning sciences with effective teaching strategies, including meaningful integration of the arts. So I'd like to turn it over to our faculty today.
Hi there, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. As you've just learned, I've been working at Hopkins since 2006, and in 2008 started the Mind, Brain, and Teaching graduate certificate. It's been really wonderful, and I think Dr. Johnbull and I are just so honored to be able to work with the educators over the years. We began the program online in 2010, and since then the program has only grown. And it continues to grow. So, we're delighted that so many educators see really value in pursuing mind, brain, and education. And so as you see in the circles, maybe we could advance the slide so we can see, there we go. Why pursue a graduate education in mind, brain, and education? And I think that may be something that a lot of you are thinking about. What can I do with this? And the answer is almost anything you want to. Many of our students really just want to advance themselves as practitioners and learn more about how children think and learn so that they can become better teachers and better leaders. Leadership in your own field is a great one. And we have students coming into our program that are not only educators in a K-12 setting, but also instructors, people with doctorate degrees who teach in higher education, who want to bring this content into their coursework, and people who are in industry as leaders or trainers who also see the value in understanding more about how we think and learn, and how that can translate into leading and training in corporate settings. So our student body has become more and more diverse. We are international. And so it's really fun to be able to work with such an amazing, diverse group of students. So there are people who are interested in policy, and their focus is one where they can look at what we know about evidence-based teaching, based on not only research in education, but also research in the broad learning sciences, which include psychological science, neuroscience, cognitive science, experimental psych, etc. Many people are consultants or become educational consultants, and then just lifelong learning is a goal. So again, I think that you'll find that this program is one that should address your needs and your interests in the area of neuroeducation. So in the next slide, I do think I just covered that, and that is the various people who enroll, counselors, leaders. As I said, more and more higher education professionals and organizational leaders are coming into our program. Even parents are interested in our content. Many, especially after COVID, are homeschooling their children, and they're interested in learning more about teaching and learning. Okay, so let's move to the next slide. So the certificate itself is 15 graduate credits. That's 5 courses. And in these courses, we explore more about research from the learning sciences, but in every course, we integrate diverse disciplines, and I think you'll see this. Neuroscience and looking at essential information on brain structure and function, and then into cognitive and psychological sciences and research that is often not taught in teacher preparation programs. And we hear that a lot from our teachers, wish we had this information when we were learning how to teach. So, there's a lot of research that we bring to you, but we also then ask you to consider how that research translates into practice. So our focus in this program is not just you learning research, but it's about translating that and having you become neuroeducators, so you yourself can then parse the research and apply it in your own educational context. As I mentioned, it is fully online. There are 2 ways to complete this. You can complete it in 5 semesters, which is sort of the traditional time frame, but so that's 2 academic years plus 1 summer, and they're offered in a sequential order. And we have a second way, and that is for students who want to move quickly through the program, and that is to take the program in 3, not 5 semesters. And so Dr. Jumble will show you that. One thing I will mention that is really new this year is that for the first time, we are beginning a spring cohort of this certificate. So typically we start in the fall, and Dr. Jumble will show you the course sequence in the fall, but we're excited to be offering it for the first time also in the spring. So those of you who would like to start before the fall, you have the chance to do so. And, I think it would be a wonderful experience to be starting with a new cohort in the spring. Okay, the next slide shows you that much of the work that I've done in translating research to practice within the brain targeted teaching model is foundational, and at least in the first course, but it also threads through the program. And that's an instructional framework that is a cohesive framework built on thinking skills, research and theory, and it brings research into practical application. And so the whole idea here is to make this research accessible to teachers at any level, from preschool through higher education and in any organizational context. And you'll find this information, we look at the next slide, in the first book that was published in 2003. The second one is the textbook that we used, 2012. We have a website where you can get a lot of information, and actually there's a free download of the book, in terms of not the entire book, but it's a study guide for the book there, and many learning units that teachers over the years have done when they've taken our courses. So we're here to give you a lot of information. And that last picture is one that I love, because my background, even though I've been at Hopkins for 15 years, I spent many years in Baltimore City Public Schools, and the last 15 of those as school principal. And there I am outside on the playground with my little kitties. So I love taking the experience of having been a practitioner into what we do in higher education. So now we're going to go on and show you, and I'll turn this over to Dr. John Bull to show you the sequences of how our program works.
Thank you, Dr. Hardiman. It is a wonderful privilege to be here with you all today. We're so glad that you're interested, and it's always an honor to get to work with Dr. Hardiman, even after 9 years of serving with her and collaborating and learning from her. One of the things that she didn't share that I will share about the brain targeted teaching framework is that Dr. Hardiman created that instructional framework because she saw so many teachers and educators coming to these conferences trying to glean information from random pieces of research, like at the Mind and Brain Education Conference, and coming back and not knowing what to do with it or how to apply it to practice. And so she put together this integrated system and framework for educators and professionals in any profession to understand, how do we apply the research and the insights from the learning sciences to professional practice. And I think that that is one of the major benefits of learning, learning any instructional framework, but this one in particular has a lot of unique and wonderful features to it. And we've done some research on it, which you'll hear about in our courses. All right, so that's my little brag on Dr. Hardiman, which she won't say herself, but here's some of the curriculum structure. When Dr. Hardiman designed this program, it was in a traditional structure, and this option is available for you. So it's over the course of 2 academic years with 1 summer in between. You've got Fall Explorations in Mind, Brain, and Teaching. That's the first course. That's where you learn this brain targeted teaching framework, and you learn a bunch of research that supports each of the different brain targets. And then in the spring, you go into Fundamentals of Cognitive Development, where you go over normal cognitive development. And then in the summer, you talk about and learn about neurobiology of learning differences, where it's the different areas about neurodiversity and how there is just quite a variety of different ways in which people learn and are diverse in terms of their neuroprofiles. Because just like thumbprints are all different, so are our brains and our neuroprofiles. In the fall, Dr. Hardiman and her team at that time designed this cool course called Cognitive Processes of Literacy and Numeracy, because there is so much interest in how do we help kids learn to read, to process all of those, the letters and numeracy, numbers, and the mathematic cognition that goes with it. So that's a course dedicated directly to that. And then the last course is Special Topics in Brain Science, where in the spring of this 5-course sequence, you would survey a number of topics that fall within the umbrella of the learning sciences that we want you to know about, but that have not really been covered in the previous courses, so that you're cognizant and aware of a number of things. And it's also where we house our capstone project that you can build your assignments through to the end of the certificate. That's the traditional structure. If you were just doing the certificate alone, one course at a time. And the next slide will show you another traditional structure, but it's with starting in the spring. So this is the first year that we're opening up a spring cohort, where if you are interested in applying and wanting to start the Mind, Brain, and Teaching certificate this year, you could actually start the spring in the explorations course this year. And that would be then spring, summer, fall, spring, summer. You would finish the following summer. So it would just be that one fall in the middle. It's still 2 academic years. And same sequence of courses. And then we also created another curriculum structure. On the next slide, you'll see that we had a number of students asking for taking the certificate, but wanting to access financial aid. And to be able to access financial aid, you need to take, I think, a minimum of 5 credits. So we decided to create this structure and offer courses, all of our courses, in a way that you could take 2 in the fall, 2 in the spring, and then finish the certificate in the summer. So you would take your first 2 courses simultaneously, Explorations in Mind, Brain, and Teaching, Fundamentals of Cognitive Development, in the fall, and then take the 3rd and 4th, Neurobiology of Learning Differences and Literacy and Numeracy, in the spring. And then you would finish it off in the summer with special topics in brain science. And that allows, if you're wanting to just do the certificate, or if you're wanting to do our certificate as a part of your master's first, it allows you to access financial aid, which is a great benefit that a number of our students have really appreciated and taken advantage of. So those are our curriculum structure options. So we've got 3 different options now for you versus 2 that we previously offered. All right, on the next slide, we are an online asynchronous program. Currently, we are using Blackboard, and clearly we also use Zoom and a number of different other tech tools, and to increase the interest and variety of learning experiences for you. We are going to be moving to a different online learning platform in the coming year. So more on that. Just in case anything changes between now and whenever you matriculate, I don't want to set up any inappropriate expectations. So right now we're on Blackboard. It's great. It works. We use Zoom, and we use for our synchronous sessions, which are recorded and posted online, because for equity purposes, we really want this program to be available to people across the United States and around the globe. And we have a cohort every year that has people both in and across the United States and around the globe. And so to be able to offer an equitable program for everyone, the asynchronous program is the most appropriate mode of delivery for that. And we have these optional synchronous sessions for connecting and for explaining things, along with video announcements and those types of components as well. All right. In terms of the outcomes of the MBT degree, there are kind of 2 big buckets. We expect you, once you've graduated from our program, to be research translators in professional practice and helping to bridge the gap between research and application. So through the program, you learn skills for digesting research literature, and we expect you to come with areas of interest or topics of interest in which you are deeply root yourself in the bodies of literature that are relevant to your practice. And we ask you to choose, and you have a lot of choice in what you dig into, in addition to our own course materials that we would like for you to read and know and remember. And in our courses, we have created projects that are immediately applicable to practice, where you're taking insights from research and applying them to your practice and in your professional settings. And it's not just K-12 teachers. We have a lot of K-12 teachers and educators and school leaders and counselors. But we also have a lot of folks that are coming to us from a variety of different professions. So these projects are also applicable for all professional practice contexts. we call you our neuroeducators once you leave our program, because you have gained this essential knowledge in this nexus between mind, brain, and teaching research. And you walk away from our program with tools and projects ready for implementation. And we have found over the years that our graduates serve as point people, where in their professional practice contexts, where their colleagues are coming to them as the bridge to look for knowledge from the learning sciences. What do you know about this area? What do you know about that area? And because you'll have those skills and competencies and tools, you'll be able to say, well, I didn't learn about that, but I know where I can go to find some information about that. So those are a couple of the main outcomes of our program. And on the next slide, you'll see a couple of quotes from our graduates, which I think is just so lovely to see. I'm going to read this center one for you. This program has truly been the perfect marriage of my love for science and my love of teaching. I've learned to be more scientifically literate through this program by being given the tools to analyze and understand human learning and development, which is just a lovely, lovely quote. I see that Doug has typed, if people who are teach professionals could benefit from this. Yes, absolutely you can. All right, and then this next slide talks about the MS Ed in educational studies. So one of the really cool things about the Johns Hopkins Masters in Education is that you can combine 2 certificates to get your master's ed. That is not a common thing in most other schools of education, that you would be able to take and specialize in 2 different things, which is pretty, in my opinion, unique and distinct. So if you are thinking about doing your master's and not just this mind brain teaching certificate, you could choose from any number of these other certificates to combine them for a master's in education, which I highly recommend you doing. This content is awesome when it is combined with and integrated with other areas of research and professional practice. So just something to think about as you're exploring our programs. All right, I think I'm going to hand it back over to our colleagues from admissions.
All right, thank you, Dr. Hardman and Dr. John Bull. So now we're going to continue by going over the application requirements. Applicants must submit a completed application, which can be found on our website. Please keep in mind there is a $80 application fee when you submit your application. The supporting materials that are required for this program are an updated resume that highlights any academic, professional, research, and leadership experiences. Your personal statement should not exceed more than 750 words. 2 letters of recommendation, a scholarly writing. So this is a paper that was written for prior coursework. And if you do not have an appropriate sample of scholarly writing to submit, as an alternative, you may instead write a brief essay. Please visit our website for information on the alternative writing sample. And lastly, we need all official transcripts, including institutions you may have taken courses but did not receive a degree. Again, this is from all post-secondary institutions that you have attended. There are a few additional steps you need to take in order to complete the application process if you're an international student. You must submit a TOEFL or IELTS score. And if your degree was completed outside of the US, you will need to complete a course-by-course evaluation. Additional information can be found on the school's website. Here on the slide, you will see a breakdown of the tuition for this academic school year. It is $926 per credit. The estimated tuition is $15,065 for 15 credit hours. Please note additional fees apply and are charged separately from tuition. We encourage you to view our tuition and fees page on our website for the most up-to-date information about tuition and fees. And if you're interested in applying for financial aid, we strongly encourage you to apply for financial aid when you start your application. The School of Education offers a limited number of partial need-based institutional scholarships each year. SOE's endowed scholarships awards range on average from $500 to $1,500 per semester and are applied to tuition expenses beginning in the fall semester. To see if you qualify to apply for the endowed scholarship, please visit the grants and scholarship page on the school's website. Thank you for attending the Mind Brain Teaching Program presentation. At this time, we would like to open up the floor for questions. It looks like we have our first question from Rachel. For the scholarly writing sample, is an article published in a peer-reviewed journal acceptable? As a follow-up, is it acceptable to be first author with a co-author?
Yeah, I'll be happy to jump in here. Sure, any scholarly writing you've done, and if you're published, we'll look at it. That would be no problem at all.
Thank you, Dr. Hardman. This next question is, are tuition fees different for international students? So the tuition is for, again, that I stated is $926 per credit for both international and domestic students.
All right, and it looks like we have another question. Can the Mind Brain Teaching Certificate be completed, then begin an EDD and apply the certificate to the EDD program?
I'll let Dr. Jumble talk about this one, and the answer is you can move to the EDD, but you will not be admitted to the MBT specialization, and that is because our courses are similar across the certificate and EDD. But many of our students do complete the certificate and move on to the EDD at Hopkins into one of the other specializations, technology, entrepreneurial leadership, and apply the content that they learn through the MBT program in that specialization. And Dr. Jumble, do you want to add more to that?
Sure. Yeah. So when you said, can the MBT certificate be completed, then begin and apply the certificate to the EDD? I'm wondering if you're asking whether or not your credits would be counted toward your EDD. And to that point, if that's the question, I believe that 32 or 36 of your master's credits transfer toward your EDD degree. Okay, yes, would the credits count? If that is a part of, so there's a certain number on the website that says it's either 32 or 36 credits of your master's credits.
So right, you have to have 36 credits
36
at the master's level to get into the EDD program. But so if you're thinking that the MBT certificate would replace EDD courses, the answer is no. But could they count toward your 36 credits, master's credits? Yes. Right. So if you already have a master's degree and you don't have, maybe you have a 30 credit master's, then the extra 6 credits that you need, you could apply from the MBT program. But the MBT credits are not going to replace any of the doctoral courses. I hope that that's clear for you. Yeah. If you already have a master's with 36 credits, you're good to go. Right.
Yeah.
I do want to go back to a question about the essay. So it is both. We want a short essay, nothing long. 1 page is really good enough. And it's just really what is your reason for wanting to come in? What are you interested in? What's your passion? What do you want to study? Why are you applying? And then the writing sample, again, as was mentioned before, it can be a paper that you've already written for another course. Something maybe you've written professionally. And certainly, as someone before said, if you're already published and you want to give us your publication, that's great too. So we want both.
There was somebody that asked, would that also apply to a PhD? I will have to defer to my admissions colleagues if you know the PhD application requirements. And that I don't know because I teach in the EDD. Sion, do you know?
So I guess for the student, I guess my question is it can the credits be transferred over to the PhD degree? And Alex, you can message me as well, your question as well.
Okay, and the next question is, I have received all of my education in the English language. Do I still need to take a TOEFL test? If you've completed your education internationally, even though it wasn't English, if you did not study in the US within the past 2 years, you would not qualify for a waiver. So we will require for you to still take the test. You can submit this information via the waiver request within the application, and the faculty can determine whether or not they would grant that. But typically, if you're for an international, we require that test. Am I missing anything, Sion?
No, you're good to go. Let's see. I just received, I'm looking through my messages as well. Received a private message. And the question is, are there any synchronous sessions throughout the program?
Synchronous, is that what you said?
Yes, synchronous.
Yeah, synchronous sessions, absolutely. In fact, we had one not long ago. We typically, this year, I think 2 days after the course started, we had a synchronous session to review in detail the syllabus and the expectations in terms of the assignments, and then to answer questions. As the semester rolls along, we will be adding definitely more. There are some in the first course, for example, students are selecting a project and applying course content to that project. And many students would like to have some guidance in, what the content would be. They're writing a paper about one particular, finding research around one particular content. And so we're happy to answer your questions individually through email, but also when we know that, a major assignment's coming up, we will have a synchronous session for that. So yeah, you can expect at least 3 synchronous sessions during the course of the semester.
And just to add on to that, we have the synchronous sessions, but they are not required. So you're not penalized if you can't attend those synchronous sessions. And so what we do is we do record them and post them in our announcements page, so that you can still have access to the content and to the learning, even if you're not able to attend them.
And I just added some additional language from the website about waivers for the English language testing to kind of break down that process and criteria for requesting the waiver. It's in the chat. You guys are welcome. If there are any other questions, you guys can type them in the chat.
And while we wait for questions, Dr. Hardman and Dr. John, well, we do get some frequently asked questions here at the Office of Admissions. And the first one is, what can I expect from online classes? Do the online classes include only reading and writing assignments, or is there an interaction with the instructor?
Yeah. So I'll start and ask Dr. John Bull to come in. So first of all, it is asynchronous largely. But what you can expect is that every session, sessions will last maybe 2 weeks or 1 week, depending, or more. In every session, there will be readings, there'll be presentations, there'll be videos, and there are different activities. Sometimes they're discussion prompts, and you'll be discussing with peers answers to the prompt that relates to the readings and the content during the session. Other times you're working in a team. So you will be designing, for example, a concept map in your team, or we have the very first assignment in a team as a team project where you're working with 3 or 4 other people. And so our students really love the teamwork. And so, some weeks it's, you're submitting a concept map. Some weeks you're submitting a summary of your team discussion. Some weeks you're submitting, you're in full discussion. So we try to mix it up a bit. In terms of the instructors, for the discussions, we are reading everything and summarizing for you at the end. We try not to break up the flow, though, of conversations, and our students like that. They like that they can converse among themselves and know that, we're there to correct anything that may be needing to be corrected. So Dr. John Bull, you want to add some more to that?
Yeah, no, I think you covered it. There is definitely interaction between us and you all. We do those in the live synchronous sessions, and then we also do that via the announcements. And I think it's not just reading and writing, that's for sure. We try to practice what we preach in terms of instructional strategies. We try to live out the brain targeted teaching strategies in our course as we're doing it online. So we're trying to model those best practices for you. So no, it's not just reading and writing. There are many different modalities in which you'll get to learn and digest the course material and apply it. Yeah.
Okay, and I received another question. Are there any opportunities to collab with faculty on research projects and or support available to students who want to conduct research in the area of mind brain teaching?
So collaborating with faculty on our research programs is not a common thing for students who are in the master's programs because we don't really have research funds available for that. Every once in a while, there will be some research assistant opportunities that may come up amongst the faculty, but they're not consistent. They're based upon whatever faculty have research grants at the time. And is there support for students to do research? If you are a PhD student, then yes, there's support for that. If you are an EDD student, that they are expected to do their own research in their own contexts. And generally in the master's programs, we create projects that are similar to research projects that you would do in your own context, but not funded research support. No, that's not available. Dr. Hardiman?
Yeah, no, I think you answered it. I think when those of us who are involved in active research, as we have been and will continue to be, as we have positions come available, we post them. And there's other opportunities. For example, we often ask our students if they will assist us at the Learning in the Brain Conference, which we're a co-sponsor of. And that occurs 3 times a year. We're co-sponsors of the Boston and the New York, the spring and the fall. And we ask our students to assist us. The last 2 years it's been on Zoom, but many of our students have had opportunities to attend for free to the conference, attend the conference for free, and then also to monitor sessions, and they actually get paid $75 for each session they monitor. So we try to give our students those kinds of opportunities that we've been involved in as professors. So it's not just research, it's also dissemination through conference presentations.
Any other questions? Okay, when you say your own context, that would mean if I'm teaching kindergarten, my project research would happen in my classroom. Yes, that's correct. Yeah, we're hoping that whatever you do and learn through our Mind Brain Teaching certificate, that you would take your insights and apply that to your practice, whatever your profession is. If you're teaching in kindergarten, we hope that you'll take the insights and apply it into your classroom immediately and over the course of time and for the duration after you leave us as well. Yep, that's exactly what I was meaning. Any other questions?
For the admissions team, is there any other frequently asked question that you think we should address before we sign off?
Dr. Hardman and Dr. John Bull. So the next one would be, when would be the next STAR term, and are you accepting applications?
So we are accepting applications right now for the spring. And if you want to apply for next fall now, you can as well. You know, you designate whether you're applying for spring or fall, but we have been reviewing applications actually right now for the spring. So those of you who want to do spring, jump in there now and fill out your application. That will start the end of January is our spring semester. So again, we're excited to be able to offer this in the spring. One thing I think if you saw in the sequence, oftentimes teachers have a little bit more time in the summer to take courses than they do during the academic year. So I suspect that the spring start will be popular because out of the 5 courses in that spring start, 2 of them are done in the summer and only 1 in the fall. And the fall is usually the heaviest time for educators, whether they're K-12 or higher ed. Fall is usually just a more robust time. So I think this spring is going to be popular because of that, because it offers two times that you're taking one of the 5 courses in the summer.
All right, so it looks like there are no more questions. Thank you everyone for your interest in the Johns Hopkins School of Education. Thank you, Dr. Hardman. Thank you, John Bull, for the wonderful presentation. We look forward to connecting with everyone. And one more thing. On this slide, we have some important contact information. For any admissions related question, please reach out to my colleague Tyrene. And here on the slide is also Dr. Hardman's and Dr. John Bull and Camila Mika Sim's contact information for program related questions. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.
Bye.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Bye, everyone.